right, here come the participants. So we'll let people roll in here. Now we're up to about 18. So I'll say hello once and then I'll say hello again. So welcome everybody to the June meeting of the Rochester Area Vegan Society. I'm so excited to have everybody here. It looks like they're still coming in, so I'll hold off on my announcements. Oh, it looks like it's slowed down. It's like watching popcorn pop. I think the last kernel just popped. So we're up to 44 attendees so far, which is great. Plus we have 7 people on the panel. So hello, I am Ted Barnett. I am a co-coordinator of the Rochester Area Vegan Society along with Carol, who's also there. So wave hello, Carol. And those of you who have been members of RAVS for a long time probably know us pretty well. We've been running RAVS since 1995. We took it over from our predecessors, the Sapones, and who started RAVS in 1989. And we are an educational organization. You don't have to, you don't have to be a vegan or a vegetarian to belong to RAVS or to come to any of our meetings. We're always glad to have everybody arrive and come. We have educational material, which we usually have books for sale when we're meeting in person, but obviously we're not meeting in person right now. So we're always happy to have you look over our website. We've got all of our old, most of our old newsletters are on the website going back to at least a dozen years. So you can take a look at those. And we do have some upcoming meetings. And so as you know, we ordinarily meet once a month, usually in the Brighton Town Park Lodge. And we will be meeting there again in September. But our next meeting will be July 18th. That's one of our summer picnics. That'll be at someone's home on the canal in Rochester. And we'll send you more information as that rolls gets closer. But please make sure to check our website. So I can talk about this because we're a vegan society. There's a cat trying to get out of this room. So Carol, I wonder if you could let the cat out of my room and into your room. Cats are usually on the wrong side of the door, as you probably know. So that's, oh, she didn't leave. Anyway, so the meeting in September will be September 26th, which is the 4th Sunday. Ordinarily we meet on the 3rd Sunday, but this will be the 4th Sunday. That will be Dr. Milton Mills, who will be speaking on the microbiome at the regular meeting, and that regular meeting starts at 5:30 with a lecture at 7 or earlier in that day. Since we're so excited to have Dr. Mills in the area, we decided to have a little mini symposium, which we haven't quite made the arrangements for yet, but it'll be a panel discussion on bringing plant-based nutrition and veganism to the communities of color. So we're very excited about that. For those of you who haven't seen Dr. Mills speak, I highly recommend it. We've got some videos on our YouTube channel of him speaking in the past at RAVS. So take a look at that. For people who are wondering whether this will be available for later viewing, yes, this is being recorded. And we'll send you a link in a few days when it's up and running. If you have any questions during the program, you can use the Q&A at the bottom, or you can put it in the chat. It's a little easier if you put it in the Q&A for us. But if you put it in the chat, we'll probably notice. And Carol is going to paste the tonight's agenda into the chat now that most of you are here. And for those of you who've never done Zoom before, you can click on the little 3 dots in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and you can actually download the chat for future reference. So we're so excited. We're actually trying something new tonight, so please be prepared for technical difficulties. I'm sure we'll be having some. But our first presenters will be Renee and Brian Bell, who will be turning on their video shortly, and they'll be talking about their. Should I do it now? Yeah, go for it. Yep, their oatmeal berry casserole. So here we are. There's Renee in her kitchen. Hello, Renee.
Hey there. Hi, Ted and Carol. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, sure, it's great to have you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, super excited to share a couple recipes.
Sure. So go for it. What do you got?
All right. Well, thanks to everyone who joined the event tonight. I appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday and your weekend to join us. My name's Renee. My husband, Brian, is behind the camera. And I'll give you just a little context about our story and how we ended up enjoying a whole food plant-based lifestyle to give you some information. When Brian and I met about 10 years ago, we were both vegetarian. And when we watched the documentary Forks Over Knives, we decided to give up the eggs and dairy and adopt a vegan lifestyle. So a couple years after that, we decided to start eliminating oil from our diet. And then as the ensuing months and years have passed, we've adopted a more and more whole food plant-based diet. Bring my cholesterol down. Even when I was a vegetarian, I had 2 cholesterol readings that were above 200. And, you know, it was surprising to me because I was at a healthy weight. I was very active, but my cholesterol was still high, even though I wasn't eating any meat. My last cholesterol reading, which was a couple years ago now, I need to get it done again, but it was down to 159 from a high of 211. So that's a nice 50-point drop. And again, my weight and activity level, you know, that didn't change. It was just changing what I was eating. So just shows the power of what you put at the end of your fork and what you put on your spoon, how that can really impact your health. So I'm going to share 2 recipes tonight that are things that are in my regular rotation that I make quite frequently. They're pretty easy and straightforward, and I hope that they inspire you to give them a try in your own kitchen sometime. And I just realized I didn't preheat my oven, so I'm going to do that. So you need to start with a 375-degree oven for this oatmeal, berry, and banana casserole, which is really delicious. So I always make this in an 8x8 pan, and I don't bother with any parchment paper. You don't need to use any oil or grease. I just start by putting the sliced bananas right along the bottom of the pan. So I usually end up using about like a banana and a half for this. And I make my slices probably about maybe a little more than 1/4 of an inch in thickness, but you know, it's kind of foolproof. You just do what you want to do with your banana slices and line the bottom of your pan. And this will just take a second. I'll have to dig into a second banana. I've got a little of this first banana left. Right. So we'll dig into this banana. I just need a few more slices. The more ripe your bananas, the better, because as bananas ripen, as I'm sure you know, they get sweeter. So this banana, you know, these bananas are starting to get a little spotted, but I would prefer even more ripe bananas if I had them on hand. All right, I'm gonna rinse my hands off. And so the next step here is to add some berries to the casserole or to the pan. I forgot they're already measured, but they are in my freezer. So bear with me here. Thank you. Is a mix of raspberries and blueberries. I think that is a very tasty combination. And it's just 1 cup of frozen berries that I put in the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to get busy making the oat filling that goes over the fruit. So I've already pre-measured 2 cups of rolled oats. You want to make sure that these are the old-fashioned oats and not the quick oats. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. You can also use chia seed, or you could get fancy and use 1 tablespoon of chia and 1 tablespoon of flax. I prefer the flax because chia seeds tend to get stuck in my teeth. And then I've got a little salt, some cinnamon, and some baking powder that's going to get added to the mix here. I am going to need a spoon. That's something I didn't think about. Excuse me while I grab one here.
So it looks like the amounts are in the recipe. You guys on the chat, for people who are watching this, the recipe is on the chat, including how much of each ingredient.
Yes, thank you for putting that information in the chat, and everyone's going to get a nice booklet that Carol put together with all the recipes after the event. So you'll have a written record of all the recipes, which is great. So from here, now we have our dry ingredients mixed up. We're going to add some of the wet ingredients to, whoops, there we go. We're going to add some of the wet ingredients to our oatmeal mixture. We're going to add a tablespoon of vanilla. And I was thinking if you used plant milk that was already sweetened or that already flavored with vanilla, you might be able to use less or maybe not any at all vanilla there. So that could be something to try out. And then 1/3 cup maple syrup. So we'll just add this in and get it mixed up. This is this casserole is one that Brian and I, his family tends to meet for brunch quite often. And we always bring this when his family meets for brunch, and everyone loves it. Everyone from our teenage nieces to my 94-year-old mother-in-law and everyone in between. So it's a crowd pleaser. It's tasty. It's easy to make. It's good to make in advance for events. So works well. All right. So now we're gonna just layer this on top. And my sous chef, Brian, if you could give me the measuring cup out of the glass. Thank you. Awesome, thanks. So now it's time to add the almond milk. Okay, so yeah, let me just show you quick so you can see what I've done. So we have the berries and the bananas on the bottom. We have the oatmeal layer on top, and now I'm just going to add 1 2/3 cup milk over. Just going to pour it over the top. So I'm just using some unsweetened almond milk.
So Renee, until now, everything's been completely dry. The oatmeal was totally dry.
Yeah, other than the vanilla and the maple syrup.
Right.
Yep. So 1 2/3 cup milk, the remaining berries, another cup of berries, but I always use a little more than an extra cup. I don't know, it's probably more like 1.5 cups because, you know, the more fruit, the better, right? So I'm just gonna layer this on top. I've done other fruits before. You'll see in the handout that sometimes I do like bananas and slices of peach, which turn out pretty yummy. And I just use the frozen peach slices. I don't do anything super fancy with fresh fruit. If I have fresh fruit in the house, I'm usually like snacking on that directly, not using it in recipes to bake with. So that is it. I'm gonna pop this in the oven for 40 minutes and then we'll be ready to enjoy. I guess I can pop it in the oven, but
wow,
we'll
thank you. That's great.
Sandy, thank you.
Yeah, that's been wonderful. Applause, everybody. Yeah, maybe we'll get to see. Well, we'll be back to you in about 40 minutes, so it'll be just about right, or 30 minutes anyway. Okay, it's time for Sandy Baker. Sandy and Albert, you want to turn on your phone? And Sandy, are you there?
Hi, Ted. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Sandy. Hi. That's good. Can you turn your video on, please?
It's not on yet.
It's not on yet?
We're getting there.
Okay.
Patience, everybody. This is a miracle that it's working at all. People from all over the planet, or at least the Rochester area. There we go. There's Sandy. Hi, Sandy.
Hi,
And
Chad.
Bob, you're going to, hi there. It's good. And Bob, you're going to spotlight Sandy, right? So I can keep talking? Okay. Yeah, Sandy, what have you got for us today?
First of all, thanks for one of our favorite breakfast foods. It's a strawberry banana breakfast wrap. And I learned about it from someone who belongs to a vegan Facebook group in the Buffalo area. So I'm going to start by showing you the burrito wrap And again, in the recipes, as Renee pointed out and Carol has talked about, everyone will get a copy of the recipe, all the recipes, and all the suggested ingredients. I'm very careful to include those. So we have a burrito wrap here. You have to be careful to read the ingredients, because otherwise I found that I bought some with honey, and of course with RAVS, we wouldn't be using honey, but this one does not. This is a wonderful new multi-grain wrap. So we start with that. The next ingredient that we're going to use is peanut butter. And peanut butter, you really have to read the labels, because with peanut butter, it can say natural, it can say organic, say all sorts of things. But in reality, there can be palm oil in there. There can be all kinds of awful things, sugar, salt. So you need to be careful, but this particular brand is excellent. So we're going to start by putting a little peanut butter on our wrap. This is a very quick and easy to make, and we think it's delicious. We served it to house guests a couple of days ago, and they loved it. So it makes a great breakfast treat, and it's also a nice snack, a midnight snack, midday snack, whenever you like a snack. So we've just put some peanut butter on here, as much as you like. This is subjective. I don't tell you how much to use, because everyone's different. I like to use enough so that it's going to stick together when we get down to the end where we roll it up. So on the edges, sometimes I put a little extra. There we are with our peanut butter. The next ingredient that we're going to use is our granola. And again, I've suggested a particular brand and a particular type of granola. We're using this one because it's organic, this Nature's Path organic. We're using the peanut butter granola because we're carrying the flavor from our peanut butter that we just spread. We're gonna add a little granola to this wrap. It's easier when it's smaller. It's easier to wrap up. So you might even want to chop it up and make it a little smaller than it is. But in any of granola as you like, it's so easy to make and so yummy. And this is another area where you could add flax if you like, or chia seeds, whatever you like. The next ingredient is going to be we're making this as our demo is because my husband Albert and I like to eat seasonally. And so whatever's in season, that's what we have. So I wanted to tell you about strawberries for just a minute. These are organic strawberries. I bought this morning, today, at the Brighton Market. And that farm, the name of the farm was Falens. And so that's at the Brighton Market. Lori's Natural Foods also carries these. And off season, you can buy nice strawberries that are grown in hothouses in this area. And I've seen these at the public market, as well as, I call it Gucci Wegmans, in that fancy Wegmans store in Pittsburgh Plaza. Anyway, strawberries are one of the produce items that you have to be really careful about pesticides. So I want to encourage you, if at all possible, get organic. They'll taste so much better. You actually will be shocked at how good they are when you get away from those pesticides. Another farm in the area that carries some that uses less pesticide would be Sunscape. So if you live in if you live in Penfield, or if you live in Greece, you can go to the Sunscape farm. They have markets in both towns, and their products are all sustainably grown. So I like to support them when I can. So our strawberries, I've trimmed these already, and basically we're just going to slice them up a little bit. These are little, you know, those delicious little berries as compared to those horrible big berries from California that have no flavor. These are so good. You're gonna love these berries. So, well, maybe before we put the berries on, we'll talk about bananas. Again, I like to eat seasonally, but bananas are in season all year. But we like to buy bananas that are equal exchange or fair trade. Here's a fair trade banana. And we also like to buy, when possible, organic bananas. So these are some organic bananas. The reason I like to buy organic is, of course, because it's better for the environment, and of course, it's better for you. But the fair trade or equal exchange, those help the farmers in these countries, Peru, Mexico, all these places, third world countries, where the farmers don't, in many cases, earn enough money to even educate their children or buy shoes for them. So you pay a little bit more when you buy organic and when you buy fair trade or equal exchange, but it's worth it because you know you're supporting the families who are growing these bananas. I like to start at the opposite end, the bottom end of the banana, because then you get that little black piece. It comes right out. Don't have to look for it. And here we go. Riper than usual. That's okay. And the strings will come right out very easily. They come off more easily for some reason when you start at the bottom. It's just nothing to worry about. And then the bananas, you can slice it or you can just put it right down this way if you want to. Lay it in there, however you like. So there's your banana and then your strawberries. Go with it. And again, it's however much you like. Some people like more strawberries or more bananas. There we go. Now what we have to do is put a little bit of a sweetener on, and you can use whatever you want for your sweetener. I'm using maple syrup. I like to get Naples maple from Wolfschlegel's. They're down in Naples, New York. It's a wonderful operation. And I know that they're very sensitive to great care of their trees, which that's important to me. So again, you don't even have to use a sweetener if you don't want to. I like a teeny bit, just a little suggestion of a little sweetener. And that's how easy it is. Just roll it up. Is your mouth watering? Mine is. So we just roll this up like any other burrito. Oops. There's our burrito. We split one because those are big burritos. I give Albert the big half. And we like to put it on a plate with maybe a little orange cut up, a little citrus fruit. And that's breakfast or midday snack or whatever you like. And there you have it. So I hope you enjoy those. And I really want to encourage you to make them, particularly now because strawberries are still in season and there's right now. So thank you. I'll be back later.
Sandy, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Terrific. Okay. And Sandy, you're up in Irondequoit, right?
Yes, we're in Irondequoit.
Right. Yeah. And our last speaker was in where, Fairport or Parrington? Where were they? Anyway, now we're moving on to Peg, who's in the Finger Lakes. Where's Peg?
Hi there. Can you see me?
We saw you a second ago. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yep. Bob, maybe you can spotlight that one.
Okay.
And yeah. And Sandy, Sandy, if you could mute your video, please. There we go. Okay. She's full on my screen now. I hope that's true for everybody. Hello, Peg.
Hi.
Welcome. What town are you calling from? Are you in?
Out in Wayne County.
Wayne County. Okay. Awesome. Well, the connection looks pretty good. So what have you got for us?
Thank you guys for having me tonight. And I'm going to make both of those recipes, Renee and Sandy. That looks awesome. So my recipe tonight, I'm going to make kind chicken salad, and I typically make this a lot, but I've always made it with chickpeas. And recently, from Kim Campbell, she's from Plant Pure Nation, she made chicken salad with soy curls. So I have never even heard of soy curls. So I wanted to share it in case you guys haven't heard of soy curls. So now that I have made it with soy curls, I always make it with soy curls. It's so good. And you can make other things with this as well. But soy curls, it's just one ingredient. It's just whole non-GMO soybeans, and that's it. So it's natural, no additives, no preservatives. and it's made by a company, Butler Soy Curls. And Kim had suggested that you buy them from the company because it's cheaper to buy them from the company, butlerfoods.com. And you could also get them on Amazon though, too. They come in packages of 3 and they're shelf stable, but it's a good idea to, like this is expiration date is December 1st, 21, but I put them in the freezer or the fridge. If I'm going to use them up pretty quick, I'll put them in the fridge, or you can freeze them too. So they come in 3 in a pack. And you can see that they're crunchy and they're long, but when you hydrate them, so what we're going to do, and I already did, is this is about half a bag. I put about half a bag for this recipe in water, and I soaked them for 15, 20 minutes and just let them soak. And you can soak them in broth, or you can soak them in water, and you can add herbs and spices to the water. I just used water for this. And then after about 15, 20 minutes, they hydrate. So you can see they're pliable now and not crunchy. So then what I did is I put them in the food processor. And you can make this, you can make anything with these soy curls. Like you can leave them big, like for fajitas, burritos, whatever, or you can chop them up really fine. I got them like kind of like a tuna consistency for this recipe, because, but you can do it any way you like. And you can also, you know, just that would work too. So the other thing I would like to, before we get in all the other ingredients, is the mayonnaise. So for this, I use half a cup of vegan mayonnaise, and you can use, you know, real quick, you can use Vegenaise. But if you want to be a little bit more whole food, no oil, then I just found this mayonnaise recipe. I've made a lot of mayonnaise recipes, and this is my favorite. And yeah, you have the recipe with you and you'll be getting it, but I used raw cashews and I soaked them, and you can soak them overnight or you can soak them for a couple hours. But shortcut, what I do is I just boil them for 10 minutes, because when I'm in a hurry, that's the quickest way to do it. And you can also, if you're nut free, you can substitute the cashews for tofu, a half a block of extra firm tofu. You can also do that in the recipe if you don't want to use the cashews, but the cashews give it a real nice creaminess. And also mayonnaise. So I grew up with Hellmann's mayonnaise, not Miracle Whip. So maybe some of you grew up with Miracle Whip. In the recipe, it calls for a sweetener, and I leave it out because I've been more of a Hellmann's type mayonnaise person. So, but if you're a Miracle Whip person, you might want to add in the sweetener, the maple syrup or the agave. I tend to use maple syrup, not agave, but I completely leave the sweetener out. And so, and that, see, I'm just keep it in the fridge, just like regular mayonnaise. Let's see. So I have a half a cup of that mayonnaise in here. And the other thing about this recipe is make it your own. I typically use these ingredients, but you can do so many different things with this chicken salad. So for me, I have my little fancy glasses. I have celery and red onion and the staples, right? I got the grapes. I got some red grapes and green grapes, and I got some walnuts, and I'm just mixing it all in. And I have some lemon juice with mustard. You can use any kind of mustard you like. Pour that right in there. And a little salt and pepper to taste, whatever works for you. And the poultry seasoning, I want to talk a little bit about this poultry seasoning. So you can buy your own poultry seasoning, but I gave you a recipe in your handout that is a really nice, quick, they're typically And so I have the recipe for you there too. It just is so good. It has so many flavors. It has sage and rosemary and thyme and nutmeg and others. So I just got it. I probably put more than the recipe calls for, but that's me. So make it your own. And so I'm going to mix all that together. Again, the recipe doesn't call for anything else, but I got some carrots because I happen to have carrots. And I thought carrots would be good and colorful. Some carrots. You can add red bell pepper. That's good. Anything you want. Cucumbers, I think I've added to this before. So it's really quick and easy. And now we're ready for the kind chicken made out of sweet pearls. I don't even think I'm going to use all of them. Only because I got a tiny bowl. And I tend to be a mess in the kitchen, right, hon? Well, as my mother would say, if you don't make a mess in the kitchen, then it's probably not even good. So mix that up, and it probably is good to put it in the fridge. You can eat it now, but it's probably better to put it in the fridge and let it meld the flavors all together for a couple hours. And that is it. And you can, you can use this as a sandwich, whole wheat bread. You can wrap it. You can do what I do, which is Dr. Veggie will be happy. Mrs. Veggie will be happy with me to put it on greens, right? So I dress these greens with a little lemon juice, a little white wine vinegar, or any vinegar, apple cider vinegar, whatever you like, a little dressing there. And then just put that right on there, and you've got a nice meal. Yum. There you go.
Wow, that looks beautiful. Peg, thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you for being so generous and bringing you into your kitchen.
Oh,
Wow.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. So who's next? I think it's time to go back to Renee. Renee
Hey
and
there.
Brian, where are
Hello.
they? Oh, there they are. You want to spotlight them, Bob? Perfect.
Excellent.
All
Great.
right. So how's that
Excellent.
casserole going?
It's in the oven. I can start to smell it. So I think it's coming along nicely.
Let's see if I can smell it. Mm.
So now I'm going to share a simple soup recipe that I really enjoy. It's chickpea, sweet potato, kale soup. Sweet potatoes and chickpeas are some of my favorite foods. So this is a soup that I dearly love and make frequently. It's from a blog called The Vegan 8. And the blog author puts together recipes with 8 ingredients or less, not including salt and pepper. So it's a really good blog to, if you like simple cooking, things that don't require a lot of ingredients, it's a good one to check out. So this calls for just starting. It's kind of a weird, like usually when I make soup, the recipes want you to saute your onion first. But this just calls for going ahead and adding all of your ingredients right to the pot. So I've got 4.5 cups of vegetable broth. And then we are going to add some onion. This is just 1 chopped white onion. So I'm going to add that. And then ginger and garlic. The ginger is really what makes this recipe. So we'll just kind of bring this up to the camera. I've got like about 2 tablespoons of chopped garlic and chopped ginger. And if you don't like to go through the work of chopping ginger, you can buy cut up ginger in like these little ice cube trays in the frozen section at Wegmans. So once in a while I will cheat and do that just because it's easy. So we've added our onion, ginger, garlic. Now we just have to put in some sweet potatoes. I have 5 cups of just peeled and cubed sweet potatoes. So those are going to go in now. And the recipe calls for no salt added broth. And I've used just this broth that I pick up at Aldi. It's organic vegetable broth and it does have sodium in it. So I'm going to hold off using any salt at this stage. I'll taste the soup at the end and, make sure that, I don't want to oversalt it. So you can't take it out once you put it in, right? And it calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So I'm just going to give a couple grinds of my pepper grinder. And then this is just going to do its thing on the stove. We're gonna bring it to a boil and then let it boil for, we're gonna let it simmer for about 15 minutes. So that's pretty easy and hands off. That gives you some time to prepare the other ingredients or do the dishes or whatever you need to do. And then, so once then it's really simple to just finish it off. We're going to add some chickpeas. These are chickpeas I made in my Instant Pot yesterday, but you can just use 1 can of drained chickpeas. So at the end, you'll add the chickpeas. You'll add 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast and 4 cups of chopped kale. And if you're not a fan of kale, one, I would encourage you to give it a try in a recipe like this, because I think kale is really easy to eat in a soup, especially if you, take the stems out and rip it up into really fine pieces. I think kale is very yummy in a soup where it's wilted like this. But if you're not a kale fan, you can use spinach instead. So spinach works just as well. So you'll add the beans, the nutritional yeast, the kale, and if you like a little spice in your soup, you can add some chili powder at the end. It calls for an optional ½ teaspoon of chili powder. And it's a delicious soup. The ginger is just just a bright flavor that just makes it extra delicious. So don't forget to add the ginger. And that is essentially it. So this is a very quick demonstration. But if anyone has questions at the end of tonight's presentation, I'm happy to answer them. Thanks.
Renee, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. I can't wait to taste that, but it's not going to happen. So anyway, so great. All right. Thank you. So Sandy and Albert, can you go live again, please? Sandy, are you there?
I'm here.
Beautiful. We hear your voice.
Hi.
We want to see your adorable face now.
Well, let's see.
There you go. There she is.
Back.
Hey. Welcome back.
Well, now we're going to make a favorite dessert. This would not be a low-fat dessert. However, you can cut back here and there on it. But it is made with wonderful ingredients, and they're, generally speaking, pretty healthy. Pretty healthy. Anyway, this is going to be chocolate mousse. You can serve it as a mousse, or you can serve it in a graham cracker crust as a chocolate pie. You can flavor it up if you want to. You could add a little mint and make a chocolate mint, or whatever you love personally. But today what we're going to make is straight chocolate mousse. So we're going to take our chocolate chips. I'll talk about those in a minute. Put our chocolate chips in a bowl, and we're going to put in some almond milk or whatever plant milk you prefer. This is going in the microwave. Everyone's microwave is a little different. Mine is very old. So I start out by and while those are heating up, you have to be really careful with chocolate. Don't overheat it because it burns very easily and there's no going back. If you've burned it, you've wrecked it. So better to heat it up and stir it and then add some more time to it. I want to show you these chocolate chips. One of the things that's happened is, because I've been teaching for the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, lots of times I'll serve this as a dessert, and later on the students will say to me, I made your chocolate mousse and it just wasn't as good. Well, there's a reason for that. I think about food the same way I think of an orchestra. You know how an orchestra only sounds as good as the weakest player? Well, the same thing, in my opinion, is true for food. So I use premium ingredients if I want to get premium results. These are premium, expensive chocolate chips, but that's why my chocolate mousse is better than someone's chocolate mousse when they bought cheap chocolate chips. These are wonderful. They're organic. Again, these are equal exchange. Please notice that. Any product that's grown, any produce that's grown around the border, pretty much around the border, around the equator, is pretty much available through either equal exchange or fair trade, because unfortunately, the farmers in those areas usually are totally underpaid. Some of them grow cocaine because they can't make enough money. But if they switch over to equal exchange or fair trade, they make enough money to take care of their families. So I encourage you to do that. It costs more money, but you have a clear conscience. Let's see how this is coming. Usually takes about 2 minutes in my microwave to get these finished up and ready to go. You can see they're melting really nicely. Stir it around for about a minute. And as we do this, I'll talk about some of the other ingredients we'll be using. We used almond milk, but you can use any plant milk you like, whatever your favorite is. That happens to be mine. So we'll let this go back in for about 20 seconds on medium. Okay, now as that's going, I'm going to show you the tofu. This is the tofu we're using. It's called Silken Tofu, which means silken. It's a different texture than regular tofu, and this happens to be shelf-stable tofu. You don't find this in the refrigerated section. I like to have this on hand. I always have silken tofu on hand, because you never know when you want to whip up a batch of chocolate mousse or some other wonderful thing. I have not seen it at Wegmans in a while, but I can tell you that Lori's Natural Foods and the Abundance Co-op, they're carrying this, and it comes in firm, extra firm, soft, etc. Depends what you want to make with it. Of course, the softer versions make wonderful scramble, tofu scramble. Oh my gosh, so good. So I want to encourage you to have some of this on hand as part of your staple products that you carry all the time. Back to our chocolate. I think it's just right. Look at this. It's just right. I knew it would be. So as we're stirring this, I'll talk about our other ingredients. We're going to use a little maple syrup as a sweetener, but you can use any sweetener you like. That's just my favorite because it's convenient and it's a locally processed and so on. And the maple trees are in Naples, New York. And here we have some nice organic vanilla. I like to use pure vanilla extract. Again, not some imitation vanilla, so that this is going to be as good as it can be. You know, I served this chocolate mousse at a luncheon that we put on in Canandaigua, a lovely lake home in Canandaigua, and a woman invited all of her friends, and one of the gentlemen guests said, "Oh, we're having chocolate mousse. That's my favorite dessert. I always get chocolate mousse in every restaurant I go to." And that's how I compare my restaurants. He tasted the chocolate mousse, and I was pretty worried about it. He tasted it, and everyone looked at him to see what he would say. And he said, "This chocolate mousse stands up to the best chocolate mousse I've ever had anywhere." That's how good it is. It's pretty good. So, I think we'll put the tofu in first. So here we have our tofu. Oh, here we go. We have our tofu. We've drained the tofu. See, gotten the liquid off. And now we're just going to kind of break it into hunks as we dump it into our, now I'm using a Vitamix. If you don't have a Vitamix, maybe you have a blender, or maybe you have a food processor, whatever you have. I love the Vitamix because it's very powerful, and you can whip a lot of air into things and make them super creamy, including things like this. Okay, in goes our chocolate. It's okay if a little is left in the bowl because Albert, my husband, cameraman, he's pretty happy to lick the bowl. Okay, there we go with our chocolate. And now we're going to add our sweetener. And a half a teaspoon of vanilla. Real vanilla is very expensive now. The price has gotten so high, it's terrible. Okay, here we go. You're going to see how easy this is. On it goes. And now I'm just going to push the sides down again for a second. I think it's about the easiest dessert I've ever made, other than just serving fresh fruit. I don't know. Anything as easy as this. Very few ingredients. Quick to make. You don't dirty very many dishes. I'm going to pulse it. Okay. See how ooey gooey delicious that looks? Oh boy. I know you're just getting hungry just watching this. So here we have it. And very, very simple. You pour it into your serving containers, just like that. And yesterday, I made some because we went to a friend's for dinner last night. And I put them in pretty glasses, pretty depression wear glasses. And this is whipped coconut instead of whipped cream. It's coconut cream, but you can do the same thing. Aquafaba. You can take some bean water, whip it up with a little powdered sugar. I like to put a little cream of tartar and a little vanilla on there. A little dab of this on here. It's gonna be so good. And out in my garden, pick some mint. There's some mint, little mint. And here we have, I don't know, 1 or 2 berries on here. Actually, 1 is probably enough. Oh, those are red raspberries that were just picked that are homegrown. The first of the season, they came in today. So there you have it. That's our chocolate mousse. I hope you'll make it and I hope you'll love it as much as we do. And everyone else seems to love it when we've made it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Sandy. That looks delicious. And so much for being such a good cameraman. It was really, it worked out perfectly. Yeah. So we have a few minutes now. It's 10 minutes to 8. Let's see if anybody has any questions. You can put them in the chat or in the Q&A. Actually, Sandy, why don't you just talk a little bit about that brand of, tell us more about Equal Exchange. And that's an actual brand, right?
Equal Exchange or Fair Trade.
Can you hold that up?
They're essentially the same thing.
Okay.
And most of the products that I buy, here's Equal Exchange, you can see, which says fairly traded. What that means is that the grower earns an actual amount of money that he should earn for growing this. In fact, a friend of mine who was in Peru on the big hike in Peru, and she discovered farmers in Peru who were growing cocaine, and she talked with them and she ended up organizing farmer co-ops. She met with the United Nations and she set it up so that they could grow coffee beans sustainably in the shade. And they would be fair trade coffee beans and they would earn just as much money as they earn growing cocaine. And
Mm.
that woman was from Rochester, and she started a coffee shop here. It's called Coffee Connection, or Women's Coffee Connection. She no longer lives here. She's in Peru. She lives over there now. But I just
Fantastic.
wanted to share that little story with you because it's really important to do that whenever we can, to buy equal exchange or fair trade.
Right. Sandy, where is that available? And
The well, these chocolate chips are available at Lori's Natural Foods and
Okay.
at the Abundant Co-op.
okay, so what the actual brand name is?
The actual brand name is Equal Exchange.
Oh, okay.
That is just the weirdest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, got it. But there are other companies that sell equal exchange, is that correct?
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. By the way, Sandy, we're all dying to see you slice up a mango. You wouldn't
do
happen to
that.
have a mango lying around, would you?
Oh, look what we have.
Two mangoes.
Mangoes are just coming into season, and
Mhm.
we eat seasonally, as I mentioned before. And I buy my mangoes at the Indian store, and I'll tell you why. The Indians seem to be the only ones who know that you should never refrigerate mangoes. Mangoes are like tomatoes. Once you refrigerate them, you lose the flavor. You can never really get it back. So we have two kinds of mangoes. These are great. Some people think of these, and these are the wonderful, smooth, very sweet, almost no fiber mangoes. So these are a premium mango. And then this is another variety. I actually wrote it down. So these have different names, but the name that the Indians market call them is Kent, K-E-N-T. These also are less fibrous than many of the other similar looking mangoes. And we like it with less fiber because if you want to slice it or have little hunks and so on, it can be very smooth, and we love that. So let me grab a knife and let's see, we need a cutting board. Albert, I can use this board, I guess. Just move everything really quickly. Okay, so there are two simple ways to cut a mango. One of them is to just go like this, and you hug the seed in the center, like this. And there we have one way of doing it. I'll show you what you can do with it now that you have cut it into pieces. You can go like this. And you turn it inside out and just cut these little pieces right off. Okay? So if you want cubed mangoes, that's how you do it. If you want slices of mangoes, what you do is peel the mango. So you peel the mango like this with your potato peeler. People are quite often intimidated by mangoes because they don't know how to cut them. I go in reverse if it gets funny, if it gets stuck. So here we can just slice the pieces if you want sliced mango. Depends on what you're using it for. But you can see both of those systems are pretty nice for getting your mango ready to eat. Oops, just a little here. And there you have it. Mangoes are in season right now. They're just been coming in for about 3 weeks. And again, I like to buy them here in Rochester at the Indian store. It's out on Jefferson Road. I've actually seen his invoice. He signs the invoice releasing the trucking company from any damage because they were not refrigerated. And their mangoes are sitting out. They're not in a cooler because they know the difference. That's where I learned, was from the Indian market owners. Okay, how's that?
That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Sandy. And you didn't
Yeah.
manage, and you still have all your fingers. How did you do that? Very good. Very good. All right. So now we're going to go back to see how Renee and Brian are doing with that incredible fruit casserole. Thanks, Sandy.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye-bye. Yep.
you.
Hello again. The timer just went off, so that was beautiful, perfect timing.
Perfect.
So the casserole has been in the oven for 40 minutes. Oh, and I wish you could all smell it. It smells really good. Brian will come in for a close-up. So you can see that the berries are nice and kind of looking oozy and nice and sweet, and the casserole is bubbling. We have to let it cool for a while, and then it'll be ready to dig into.
Wow, it looks delicious. Wow, thank you so much. So let's have all of our, looks like, well, I'm sorry, there are some Q&A. I didn't think there would be. Someone is asking, why don't we have all the panelists come back live here for our question and answers, if we could, please. And also so we can thank you all, because you did a great job, everybody. So let's have Sandy and Peg come back. There they are. Great. Sandy, somebody is asking, which Indian store are you talking about when you get the mango? And you're muted, so we need to unmute you. Hang on, Sandy. We need to unmute you. Okay, you can now. I think you're unmuted now.
Okay, hi.
Hi. So which Indian store are we talking about?
The name of the store is Spice Bazaar. It's located on Jefferson Road across the street from the old Southtown Plaza.
Okay, got it. Great, thanks. So I think this is it. Oh, is there something down below here? Some people are saying thank you. Carol, are we done, you think?
Ted, I'm sorry. Someone asks whether there's an alternative to using tofu in the mousse recipe, and I know some restaurants that serve a vegan chocolate mousse made with ripe avocado, but I don't know if any of our presenters have anything to say about that.
Yes, and I have had it with avocado many times, and it's certainly acceptable. Some people prefer it over the tofu. I personally, given the choice, I prefer the tofu. But yes, the avocado is fine. You can do that.
Any other last questions? Looks like there's 2 more messages. We got some thank yous. And listen, this was amazing. We had people from 3 different areas coming from Rochester, and Carol and I are sitting in a different house, and who knows where everybody else is who's watching this. And I just like all our panelists to wave goodbye. And thank you all for joining us. And thank you to, what's up, Carol?
We do what we sometimes do in Zoom meetings and have maybe people can't unmute themselves. And
I'm
say
not sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll just,
We'll say thank you for you.
We'll have all the panelists say goodbye. All right, Bob, we're good? All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for everything.
Yep. See you all soon.